So good afternoon, everyone, and a very happy Chartered Accountant Day on behalf of everyone at Tally Solutions. So as you all know, today is the CA Day, and CAs play a very important role in the development of our country. You know, they are the foundation base of the economy, and utilizing their vast expertise, the nation gets right direction in various financial and economy-related measures to enhance the country's growth. Today, we are here to celebrate their contribution to the economy, to our country's growth. And we are glad that you all could be a part of this insightful session. We are bringing together experts from the CA fraternity to share their thoughts and views on the way forward. For the first session, we have with us two prominent personalities who will share their experience and suggestions with us. Please welcome CAS Venkatramani, sir, and CAH Padamchand Kincha, sir. Welcome, sir. I will give a brief, while they have a prolific, experience in the field of chartered accountancy. I won't be able to do justice by giving just few lines about their extensive profile, but allow me some time to speak about them, and then we will hear their views and insights. So CAS Venkatramani, sir, is a veteran with over 3 decades of experience. He's practicing in the field of indirect taxes and is mainly involved in indirect tax planning and representation at various levels. He's a regular speaker at various fora and has presented several papers on indirect taxes at the state and the national level. He has also co-authored 3 books. He's a member of several prestigious government committees, including the State Advisory Committee of GST for the Government of Karnataka, Statutory Compliance Committee of Karnataka State Cricket Association, and Fiscal Policy Institute of Government of Karnataka, involved in structuring and designing the course curriculum of the officers of the Commercial Tax Department, to name a few. CAH Padamchand Kincha, sir, he's a partner at HC Kincha and Company. With over 30 years of experience in corporate and international tax regime, he has spearheaded the income tax consultancy and litigation practice. He advises Indian and multinational companies as well as high net worth individuals on various tax matters. He has represented a number of large corporates in some of the most high-profile cases before various income tax tribunals across India and has been associated with several landmark decisions. He is a prolific writer on various topics in income tax and has delivered more than 500 lectures across the nation on several income tax issues. So it is an honor to have you both here with us today, and we look forward to your life experiences, your insights that you are going to share with us today, and I'm sure all of us can learn a lot from what you have to say today. So Venkatramani, sir, if you would please enlighten us with your experiences and lessons. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Jasmeet, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My pranams to my senior on this panel, Padamchand. In many ways, he has been my guru. He might not acknowledge that, but I know I have followed his footsteps before I could hit somewhere in my career. To Prakar, good afternoon. Before I come to Tally, I must acknowledge that I met Bharatji 3 times in my career. I don't think the first time I met Bharatji, he would even recall, because that was 20 years back when they had a small office somewhere around Koramangala. I don't think he would recall that. But the second time was when VAT came in. I had a good long discussion with Bharatji. The third time was when goods and service tax came in and the invoice level matching concept was being introduced. You must meet him to believe me. The understanding he has about the accounting and the treatment of several entries and how the statutes require them. I'm sure Those of you who have met Bharatji will acknowledge that he's one of the doyens of Tally, and there is no gainsaying the fact that he's one of the best in the profession. Second, I met Arvind. I don't know if Arvind is here as part of this panel, I'm not sure. 2 decades back, when he was working for one of the accounting packages called Profit, that was about 2 to 2.5 decades back, and the rest is history. We have been very, very close friends. Komal and Jasmeet, of course, have been making me very comfortable over the last 3 days in this entire digital environment, which I am not very comfortable with. Prakar, to you and the other panelists, good afternoon to you all. First, to my parents, my family, my alma mater, ICI, my first alma mater, if I can call so, apart from ICI, M.R. Rangaratnam and Company, where I did articles. I'm sure Padamchand ji will recall M.R. Rangaratnam, the kind of strict disciplinarian that he was, and a couple of his very good friends have qualified out of M.R. Rangaratnam and Company. I'm sure he knows Prakash. I'm sure he knows Ravi Shankar. There's some of the fantastic chartered accountants the city has ever produced. Then that was my first encounter with this profession. Then, of course, briefly I was in a couple of smaller firms. Then I came back to Singhvi Dev and Unni, which I consider my latest alma mater, when Singhvi Devraj and Unni actually have honed my professional skills and probably set me on that platform of innovation. And I have moved from place to place. So I owe it to Singhvi for teaching me how to read law. I owe it to seniors like them to make me understand the importance of reading and the way a law should be read. So thank you all so much before I get there. Next. Tally, in many ways, has been the backbone of several hundred CAs across India. I dare say that without Tally, accountants would not know what to do, how to do, because a lot of it Tally does today. What we did, I'm sure Padamchand ji will recall, the best part of our time in our article desk, sir, was going in tallying trial balances, which we don't have to worry today. I'm sure that was the profession which we started. To where it is today, people don't even know what is trial balance. People don't realize the importance of the trial balance, the entries that go along with it, the aging schedules that come along with it, the importance of the capital and revenue accounts, the way it is captured, the fundamentals of these which were taught to us. The profession gave us, of course, but then our seniors taught us what it all means. A lot of it is done by these accounting packages today. I wouldn't think that there will be very many CAs here. I mean, I dare say it, would look at these issues today as something major, which was that much more important for us 2.5, 3 decades back. So if I were to say that today Tally is a part and parcel or an integral part of the accounting profession, I don't think it will be wrong. I dare say further that Tally has played its crucial role in nation building, and I'm sure number of CAs and professionals will acknowledge this. My greetings to every single CA from every nook and corner of the world who is a part of our profession. I greet them on the 72nd Chartered Accountants Day. Today also happens to be the 3rd anniversary of the goods and service tax regime. We will keep that for another day. Going back to my alma mater, ICI, the motto says, "Ya esha supteshu jagarthi." That means that person who is awake when the others are asleep. I'm sure Padamchand Kincha will acknowledge when I take the name of Ravi Shankar. He has drilled that into our heads when he said, what is a chartered accountant? Who is a chartered accountant? What do you mean by chartered accountancy? What do you mean by charter? So he told us those days, a chartered accountant means charter is to hire. A chartered accountant is nothing but an accountant who can be hired, but with all his morals, with all the ethics, with all the integrity, with the value systems that the CAs have taught us. Seniors like them, many seniors who are on the panel who have taught us what morals, ethics, integrity, value systems are. With all of that, the chartered accountant comes as a package. When I started my career, I looked around. I thought, what is it that I will do? Practice, or I should go in for employment. Then I decided okay, employment is not something which I want to do because I don't like to sign the attendance registers. And therefore somebody said, okay, why don't you practice? So I said, okay, let us practice. But by then many of my seniors were already in practice and they told us this is the best way to get in. So I also started practicing income tax because that's how everyone started practice those days. I'm sure Padamji will acknowledge that whoever started practice would be good at filing returns. It was called ITR2 then. I don't know what it is called now. But then they would be adept at filing these returns because the return those days was a mini act by itself. I can stand corrected by Padamji if he doesn't agree with me. It was a mini act by itself. It was a very small booklet. It had most of the sections written in Hindi and English in that return. We would physically fill up those return forms, if I'm right. And along with that, my boss M.R. Rangaratnam would turn, my principal M.R. Rangaratnam would turn around and tell me, don't take the reckoner, take the bare act. I don't know whether VG Mehta and NV Mehta is still there because I don't practice income tax, but he would tell me, take out the bare act or take out A.N. Iyer. I don't know if it is still there. Read the bare act and thereafter start filling in the returns. Those were the days I was initiated into practice and into reading. Ravi Shankar would tell that if you don't know, if you don't read, you can't write. If you can't write, you can't speak. If you can't read, write, and speak, you don't be a CA in your life. This was the baptism I got into profession. That is when we started writing. I urge every single CA who is listening to this to write something on a daily basis, because if you don't read, you can't write. If you can't write, you definitely cannot speak. And this is certainly something which I believe. Look at the profession today. A lot of it is available on the digital platform. It is available on the digital platform. I have seen young CAs go to Google and search. They type the question to get an answer. This is the profession today. This is the profession. People don't pick up the act. They say, I have the soft copy, I have this. I leave it to them. They can read whichever way they want. But read, you must. Read, you must. Read as much as possible. Read for at least 2 hours a day. My principal told me, you read a magazine, but you study an act. So there is a subtle difference between reading and studying. I'm sure Padamji will acknowledge, you read a magazine, but you study an act, you study a law, you study a judgment. You try to figure out how the issue can be applied or the law can be applied to a given situation. The economic landscape in India has completely changed. So have the chartered accountants changed. Continuous education today is the hallmark. Trust me, going forward, the next panelists who are going to come and speak perhaps for another 30-45 minutes or so will tell you how artificial intelligence, how digitization is going to drive practice, how it is going to drive intellect. Let me tell you, if I were to speak with limited reference to the goods and service tax law, bulk of it is going to be driven by the machines. The system will do what today a chartered accountant is doing. 3 years from now, traditional practice has got no place. If I just change the HSN classifications and reduce the rate of tax to 1, majority of the CS will go out of business. That is not how practice is. So you need to read, you need to be brilliant, you need to be good, you need to have value systems, you need to go beyond the law, you need to go beyond what the machine will tell you to do. In fact, you must be telling the machine what it should do, etc. So the economic landscape has changed. Continuous education is the hallmark. Study forms the bedrock of any professional. I was told by some of the finest CS the country has ever produced from Chennai, while I will keep that name confidential. He told me at the beginning of my career, if you are practicing as a professional, then please practice professionally, but with a personal touch. So there must be a personal touch. Don't treat CA or profession as a business. Let there be a personal touch with your clientele. Let there be a personal touch with the departmental authorities. Let there be a personal touch with your friends, peers, colleagues, whoever you want to call it. Life is no longer machine driven. Accountants by themselves hold the flag high. Look at any sector, be it ministers, be it PSUs, be it the government, be it the profession. be it the corporates, be it small firms, you will find chartered accountants everywhere, academicians, researchers everywhere. Why are they there? Their integrity and independence form the touchstone of what they are doing today. Therefore, once you talk about integrity and you talk about the independence, trust me, today it is one of the most valued professions that this country ever looks forward to. A chartered accountant actually bridges the gap between tax compliance and litigation minimization. He bridges that gap. By bridging that gap, a good number of litigations can actually come down. That role is being played by a chartered accountant. Experts apart, experts aside, because they play a completely different role insofar as profession is concerned. Don't forget the clarion call that the Prime Minister of India gave 3 years back. Please don't take that as a ridicule of the profession. Please take that as a clarion call for chartered accountants to do something more insofar as society is concerned. Now, if I look at what the profession has come to, when we were young chartered accountants 25 years back, we were doing whatever is being done by an article clerk today. As young CS, we were physically doing that job. We were physically writing vouchers. We were physically signing vouchers. We were physically writing petty cash books, journals, etc. I don't know how many chartered accountants do that today. The system does that. People don't even know where the corresponding entry goes. They just say purchase of stationery, some debit is there somewhere, credit is somewhere else. People don't even know what is happening at the back end. To that extent, automation has driven us. This has taken away a substantive part of understanding the fundamentals of accounting and fundamentals of law. I want most youngsters to go back to the books, start writing, hold the invoice in your hand, hold the journal voucher in your hand, hold the cash book in your hand. Please see how the entry is going to flow. It is only then you will appreciate the law and how the law has evolved over a period of time. Those days, some of the largest companies had a few hundred crores of turnovers. I'm sure Padamchand Kincha will recall that in most of those audits, a partner himself would go and physically, personally do the work. So correct me if I'm wrong. We would physically go, sit down in that client's place, do the work ourselves. Today, profession has gone to such an extent that a chartered accountant who is a partner does not want to do this job. He thinks that it has to be done by someone else and only reports have to come. No, but this is a learning process that every single CA in this profession has to go. Trust me, these learnings will never go waste. While I said that this is one of the most coveted professions, it is one of the best that in this country, but it is also one of the most demanding insofar as the regulatory landscape is concerned. Most seniors here will tell us, I can tell you why seniors. Was perhaps only one volume. I don't know how many volumes it is, but I definitely know there are a number of sub-acts in the income tax itself. There is something for transfer pricing, there is something else, and the law itself gets subdivided into practice areas. The practice areas are so well defined that it has become absolutely complex. If you take indirect tax, for example, I exactly know how complex that indirect tax law is. It has become very demanding. But for a chartered accountant to stay tall and to perhaps get the respect that he's doing, I think education and continuous education and studies alone can take you wherever you are. The road ahead is not going to be easy. It is only expertise that is going to make you stay ahead of the times, because artificial intelligence and digitization is going to drive a majority of the jobs that we are today manually doing, or we are applying our minds to be doing. The question that comes to my mind is whether we are ready. The question is not whether we are ready. The question is whether we can embrace technology, profession, regulatory mechanisms, our ability to read and comprehend things. I can honestly confess that I'm technology challenged. I am not as good as what others are. But then once we embrace technology and everything is available here, the question is, are we ready to embrace what is going to be thrown at us. Our seniors have paved the way. They have taught us what profession is. They have taught us what value systems are. They have taught us what integrity is. They have taught us behavior. They have taught us how our humble nature will take us way forward. I request every single youngster to carry forward this legacy of one of the most noble professions that I have ever looked at. There is a new age. There is new laws. There is new oversight. In this borderless world that we are talking, where we don't see face to face as we are sitting here, we are looking at digital, we are looking at the digital world to even talk to each other. I think profession has come a very, very long way. A professional needs to update, he needs to upgrade, and also cannot rest on past laurels. Before I close, I have a small piece, you can call it advice, you can call it my learnings. The other way around is my learnings. I want every professional to conduct in a manner that if we or I or you lose a case or lose an argument, it does not matter. But try and don't lose your client. Try and don't lose. When we lose a case, people will say, Venkat, what are you talking? Your client also goes along with that. Does not matter. Every time you lose, you are not going to lose your client. Your client needs to know that you have done your best. So it does not matter. Don't lose your client. But if it goes, you can't help it. Next, there will be a day when you will lose your case and you will lose your client. Both of it will go. It does not matter. But don't lose the court. Don't lose the court means don't mislead the person who has judged your case. That means the department, the officer, the tribunal, the court, etc. Don't mislead. There will be a day when you will lose your client, when you lose your case, you will also lose your court, because one of the members of the tribunal will tell, what are you talking, Venkat? What are you talking? So you might lose the court. But even if you lose all the three, don't lose your conscience. If you lose your conscience, you have lost everything. To youngsters who are here, I want you to believe in your abilities and leadership qualities at all crucial junctures in your career. Please continue to build on the platform in innovation. I know what technology means and how challenged I am when it comes to technology. But for Komal and Jasmeet, I don't think I would have logged in today. It wouldn't have been possible for me to do it. So please embrace technology. Get to the platform of innovation. I want you to believe that your aspirations are a possibility. Believe me that there is no rest. I want you to be courageous, bold, confident. Dream that you will do something. Have the hope. Have the integrity of purpose and quest for excellence. Lastly, be original, be daring, be unreasonable to yourself, be anything that will assert your integrity of purpose and imaginative vision. You will get there. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tali, for having given me this opportunity. Padan sir, please excuse me or forgive me if I've used your name too many times, because I look forward to seniors like you who have been part of my profession in my growing up years. Thank you so much. And once again, wishes to every single chartered accountant in every nook and corner of this country. Thank you, Tali, for having given me this opportunity. Thank you, Arvind, Jasmeet, and Komal, and my regards to Bharatji. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for being with us today, and you know, the conviction with which you have shared your experience, your views, and all I can say is that, you know, the way you have emphasized the need of reading and writing for the professionals in the fraternity. I believe everyone, all of us in any profession, regular reading and writing and, you know, upskilling is very important. So that is definitely something that all of us take from what you've spoken today. And of course, you know, the way you have emphasized and reiterated how economic landscape is changing, and we need to adapt technology, embrace it, and use it for advantage. That has been a very big key takeaway. And definitely last, but definitely not the least, is to ensure that we do not lose our conscience, our ethics, and stand by our grounds. Thank you very much, sir. It has been very, very good to hear you. Padamchan sir, I would request you if you can please take over and share your expertise, some anecdotes from your life, and some insights from what you have learned over the years. It will be really great.
Thanks and good afternoon to all. Thanks to Tally for inviting us here today afternoon and to publicly acknowledge that this profession has meant a lot for me personally. And if given a chance, I would again in my life become a chartered accountant. This is because of the ethos that we are in, because of the prominence that this profession has enjoyed, because of the recognition and respect that this profession has given us. There are glorious traditions in this profession. It's had a wonderful history, wonderful past, bright future also. Now, how and why is this CA important? I'm compelled to recall an anecdote by somebody else who was called upon to speak at a CA profession meeting. And he said, do you know why CA is the most important person? He is much more important than a doctor, much more important than a lawyer, much more important than an engineer, much more important than anybody else. And you know the reason why? When we asked him why, he says, look at the whole historical developments. Before God created man, he created an accountant. Chitragupta was the accountant. God also wanted an accountant to keep a tally of all debits and credits of all human beings, such that when they went back after the life's journey, the account was there before God to appropriately deal with how the person has performed in this day. Therefore, even God believed in an accountant. He had to create Chitragupta first, and that's the importance of an accountant. To come back to our history itself, today we are completing 71 years. 1949, the Chartered Accountants Act was passed. And believe me, this act was passed even prior to the adoption of the Constitution itself. That happened in 1950. The government, in my opinion, felt it more important that this is an important profession to work about. And they had the Chartered Accountants Act in 1949. And we adopted the Constitution a little later in 1950. Even the learned sage Aurobindo and Venkat made a reference to that. It was he who gave us the motto concern from the Kathopanishad. He was the person who said, this is what is going to be appropriate in terms of a constant motto to inspire chartered accountants. And as recently as Abdul Kalam talking to chartered accountants, he made a statement that chartered accountants are true partners in nation building. It's a very significant statement that President Abdul Kalam made. This for the reason that today, 80% of the economy passes through a chartered accountant's hands. 80%. Now, therefore, a chartered accountant becomes a very important link between the public who conduct this business and the government who are going to have the consequences of these activities. And therefore, a very important and vital link, an impartial link that the government believed was by a chartered accountant. And this is this role and our involvement with the government that also is saving us through this difficult pandemic time, COVID-19 times. People are facing difficulties in terms of their livelihood, in terms of their earnings. Few industries are doing well, like the pharma industry or the healthcare industry, but large number of industries are not doing well. But as chartered accountants, we are so uniquely placed that we are going to be the supporting arm of the government. 80% of the economy, therefore, has to be certified by a chartered accountant. And government is continuing to be functional. Government is continuing to be very active. Government is therefore going a little overboard in terms of helping people. And in these times of government acting well, government not reducing its scale of activities, the role of chartered accountant, therefore, is going to be not in any manner diminished. There will possibly be delays, but there's not going to be a denial. There's going to be a situation where the government will look upon the chartered accountants, and our work, therefore, will continue to remain and will remain relevant also. Therefore, we are very uniquely placed. We are very, very uniquely placed. Venkat was mentioning about certain developments that have happened in recent times, causing us a time for introspection. Fine. Another way of looking at things was, therefore, as Venkat also mentioned appropriately, it's a clarion call. My opinion is a situation where the society believes that we are required to do much more than what the law wants us to do, what the expectations are far ahead. They believe that we should be the protector of the interest of the society. And if there is some default, they're blaming chartered accountants because the expectation of the society is that a chartered accountant must be much beyond what he thinks is minimum in terms of his duty concern. And therefore, it's important for us to reaffirm ourselves into this value system, into this expectation that the society has from us. And we can do that. We can do that if we were to lay focus back on our qualities concern. And when you talk about qualities, what should we look at therefore? Go back to Aristotele's motto. What is the emblem along with it? We have this Garud. Garud is the emblem for the sea sector. What does the Garud represent? Garud represents that even at a height of 3,000 feet or as low as 30 feet, it has the ability to be the master of what it is surveying. It has both the macro level and the micro level vision. Wonderful. It never gets lost in its vision and in its focus. It's always swift. It's always alert. These are the qualities that we as chartered accountants have to re-emphasize. And believe me, if we were to devote ourselves to these qualities concerned, then we'll be able to discharge and even surpass the expectations that the society has upon us. It's important, therefore, here today to reaffirm the way in which our CA Institute has conducted itself in terms of its course curriculum, in terms of its examination systems. We have a very wonderful blend of theory and practice. We have a wonderful blend of exams which are demanding in nature. 71 years are completed. 142 exams have been conducted. And at no point of time in this 142 examination has there been ever a doubt in terms of the quality of these examinations. Never a day. The standards have been maintained. And we therefore are required to maintain and improve the standards concerned. Despite this, we are still the second largest body of accountants in the world after the CPAs in USA. Therefore, a good number of chartered accountants have come into this profession, finding it very attractive, very lucrative. Despite a good number of chartered accountants, believe me, there is zero unemployment within the profession of chartered accountants. There is a situation where this profession is still the profession that demands the lowest amount of monetary outflow from parents to educate the children themselves. This is a profession that is still having no preferential treatment to anybody. There are great qualities, therefore, in this profession, where by virtue of the qualities, the regimen, the demands, we are now moving from not just a bookkeeper, but we are now becoming a significant value creator and a key strategist to business people concerned. We are today looking at not just accounting, not just bookkeeping. We are looking at various areas called risk management, insolvency, investment banking, forensic audit, artificial intelligence. Quite a few areas are there where chartered accountants are getting seamlessly involved and are able to therefore exhibit their skill and proficiency. That's because of the virtues that we have built into the system of training and into the system where the character building and the values that are driven into chartered accountants come to good stead like this. We are therefore, by virtue of your unique learning, able to derive recognition very easily in society. And the time for introspection for us slightly is to find out not just recognition. We need to move from recognition to respect. When we have to move from recognition to respect, we don't have to bother about popularity. We don't have to bother about power. We don't therefore have to bother about those qualities that will get us respect. Character is one. That's what Venkat was emphasizing very strongly. Conscience is what something that we should not let go by. Therefore, it is the aspect of knowledge. Venkat was speaking again. The aspect of integrity is extremely important because integrity without knowledge is weak. The whole thing becomes weak. Knowledge without integrity is very dangerous. So there will be a combination of knowledge with integrity. And those are the combinations that are required for us. Because if you were to live a life of integrity, we may not have fame, we may not have fortune, but it is worth life living for. And therefore, it's important that we have not just this knowledge and integrity, we therefore, by our character, command the respect in the society. Because we have this recognition, we believe success is coming very naturally to us. Yes, success comes very naturally to us. But then something that we need not necessarily pursue, something that should automatically follow. That's an important aspect. We should not, as an individual, in terms of our profession, try and pursue success. Success is something that follows. How it follows? Do something that you believe in. Do something that you love. Do something with a lot of conviction, and success will naturally and automatically follow. Make everyday work a masterpiece of yours. ensure that there is commitment to excellence. Everything that you do should be the hallmark of excellence, should exhibit excellence. Be it a small preparation of a individual statement of total income or his GST return or to a complex business structuring or an arrangement. Let us be a situation where excellence is the watchword of our professional. If you have to do this, to say that every day is a masterpiece, every day is an exhibition of excellence, believe me that if you are being here, you are not going to be persons who are the sole repositories of this type of success. It should come naturally, it should come very easily for all people concerned. We only have to ensure that every work that we do, every work that we perform has this backdrop of masterpiece or has this backdrop of excellence for us. We therefore should work to become something, not to acquire something. Let us become something. And therefore, Venkat was very appropriate to say that we need to therefore become something is by the constant devotion to learning. We therefore have a situation where if we were to learn, then the word earn is always inbuilt in the word learn. L-E-A-R-N. E-A-R is already there. If you think you're going to measure success only by earning, not necessarily. Have the word learning. And believe me, the earning will never go anywhere. The material success they're talking of will never go anywhere. It's extremely important, therefore, that we devote ourselves to learning. Venkat was also talking about technology. Machines are learning today. It's important that humans also continue learning. We don't have to really depend on machine learning today. We have to therefore ensure that they are also learning today. What is the use of having a smartphone if we are not smarter than the phone itself? A smartphone, no. What are we doing? Are we smarter than the phone itself? It's important for us, therefore, to convince ourselves that all solutions are not found in technology. No solutions, in my opinion, are found in technology. Technology only gives you a lead. It gives you some sort of a summary from historical development, historical facts. It cannot lead you to the future. Therefore, it gives you leads. It's only a man who can convert those leads into successful solutions. Therefore, it's extremely important for us to remember that a machine can do what 50 ordinary people can do, no doubts about it. But 50 machines can't do what an extraordinary man can do. One extraordinary man, one extraordinary power, one extraordinary thought process. No machine can capture that. It's extremely important, therefore, that we understand technology is fine. We understand that artificial intelligence is fine. We need to understand and appreciate that artificial intelligence and technology is possibly going to make some of our routine work redundant. Fine now. Doesn't make a situation that we're going to be out of work today. Routine work are going to be redundant. Artificial intelligence is going to take care of it. We need to therefore find, as Venkat again was saying, be sure that we are adept at technology to carry on the routine work. But if for some reason we are not able to master technology, doesn't mean that we are at the end of the solution. Because no, machines can help you a little. They can't solve problems. It's for us, therefore, as individuals, to ensure that the real solution would be within our brain power. Because machines have data, but they don't have the ability to process data. Therefore, we need to ensure that that data which is there in the machine is transferred into our head, transferred into our gray cells, where the processing happens. If processing happens all time, continuously, consciously, unconsciously, and it is this processing that will turn data to information, which will turn information to knowledge, which will turn knowledge to wisdom. A machine, a smartphone cannot have wisdom, cannot have knowledge. It can only have data. It's important, therefore, that machine can have data. The ability should be to transport that data into our minds such that the processing happens automatically, processing happens incessantly, that we are therefore able to drive solutions in this new dimension, in the new age, where there are so many unique problems, so many unique solutions, so many unique developments, where everybody across the world, in terms of business, in terms of law, is moving far ahead. The developments are at a rapid pace. It is that which is going to help us in terms of being up to date, being always the repository of people, and justifying that faith and that belief that people have in us. Therefore, important for us today at 71 years of completion to look back, take stock, go back to the ethos, go back to our history, go back and find out what has inspired this profession, keep those values, and ensure that we as a community, we as a body, reaffirm and revalidate these principles concerned. We ensure that we stay committed to these values, such that the way the society has expectations of us, believe me, a vast majority of chartered accountants are doing a wonderful job, be it in the industry, be it in the practice where they're employed with a number of big organizations concerned. The vast majority of chartered accountants are doing, in my opinion, a wonderful job. Only a few who are possibly looking at some short-term success, who are making some sort of a black mark on the profession. It's therefore upon us as individuals concerned, as individuals, to reaffirm the belief, to reaffirm the values that our founding fathers have laid for us, to ensure that these are made a part of our everyday life, everyday culture, that this wonderful profession, which has now completed 71 years today, has, because of our commitment and our dedication, a wonderful future ahead. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that beautifully articulated talk and reiterating the thing that knowledge is definitely important, but knowledge along with a combination of integrity is even more important. Telling us that striving for excellence in every single day's task, in every task, is very important. How learning will end up earning, and learning is what is more important. And last but definitely not the least, telling us that machines and striving to digital transformation, machines can give us data, but it is us who can turn it into knowledge, into wisdom, and help our society, the country, and clients up with the solution. Thank you very much, sir. And we've been getting some really wonderful, comments on how great this talk is. And some of the comments read that they are learning so much from it, and it's a brilliant speech. And there are some questions that are coming up. So if both of you can take some questions that the audience has, yeah.
Yeah, we
So,
take.
sure, sir. Let me just scroll back to the questions and okay. So yeah, so okay, so Sachin Kumar Sinha has asked, I'm reading it verbatim, but this is to Padamchand sir, that don't you think that our alma mater ICI has also some responsibility towards its members, so that even after passing and becoming member, we feel connected and learning grows? The steps till date is not that great.
Question therefore is, as an ICI, once I've cleared my chartered accountancy profession, how is it keeping the herd together, bound? It's a situation where we as professions are in disparate activities. So what should the institute do as a professional body to ensure that we stay connected back to the institute concern? I'm not going back to what the American president said. Not look at what the country can do for you. Look at what you can do for the country. It's a more important issue as to what I can do for the profession, what I can do for the institute. That's an important issue for me. If I'm able to therefore contribute, institute is most, in terms of its ability to accommodate people, this is the most open body in terms of people wanting to contribute academically, wanting to contribute in terms of technical material. Institute also is extremely important in terms of ensuring that this knowledge that we are talking of, both me and Venkat, we're talking about knowledge in terms of learning. In my opinion, the most active body across the world is the Chartered Accountant Institute in terms of the program it's handling today. The Bangalore branch today is handling 20 programs a month on an average, 20 programs a month.
Easy.
The number of programs that are happening and the devotion to continuous learning, the devotion that you will not get a certificate of practice continued unless you have the CP credits to your name, to ensure that a chartered accountant stays relevant, stays up to date, is one of the most important measures that as an institute and body is taking. Two, I understand that certain powers of the institute are taken over by the government concern in terms of disciplinary action, in terms of some other regulations of accounting standard setting. But again, even though it's gone there, let us say accounting standards, most of the contributors are chartered accountants only there. There's nobody else who is a non-chartered accountants contributing to the setting up of the standards concern. Therefore, just in my opinion, a change of the body, not the change of people who are contributing to it. And therefore, an institute today is required to constantly ensure that the members are updated, the members are aware of the latest issues, the type of activities, because of the developments are so large and so vast. That institute, in my opinion, is doing a good job, is doing a wonderful job. And therefore, it's for me, how much I can get from the institute, the maximum left to me, and how much I can contribute to the profession, to the institute, such that everybody else is a benefactor from what individually we can contribute to the institute.
Thank you very much, sir. There's another question that we have. So this is from Manoj Kishan. He wants to ask Venkatramani sir. So you said in practice, you also need to have personal touch with your clients. So how do you balance both the extremes?
Yeah, thank you, Jasmeet. Manoj, if you are listening, yes, I did say it. It is professionalism with a personal touch, and that's what I said it. Let me use Padam sir, my senior and mentor in many ways, as an example. If I have to meet Padam sir, I have to meet Padam sir. It's as simple as that. I don't want to meet his junior, or I don't want to meet somebody else. I don't want to meet somebody else. It's as simple as that, because I believe that the issue that I have, only Padam sir can solve. So what is professionalism with a personal touch? I understand, as we have talked about, machines have taken over, this has done, that has done, you have juniors, you have managers, you have assistant managers, you have deputy managers, you have all of this. But then a client comes to your office or to meet you, your assistant. He will be happy if you are seized of the problem, you take the issue yourself, you calm him down, because he comes to you saying that XYZ has happened. So he comes to you with a pain, you seize yourself of the matter, then you give him a solution, you talk to him, you calm him down, and you send him. So far as delivery of work is concerned, somebody else may do it in your office. It doesn't matter. So that is professional with personal touch. Today, what is happening? I am coming across, I don't know, websites which say, kindly post your GST query, answer will be given. Doesn't know what my fact is. He doesn't even know what is the fact, because a lot of the replies revolve around factual situation. You forget the case loss. Case loss only cement or uncement your decision. So what is a fact can be better understood when you meet the person personally. That personal touch is definitely required. Let me distinguish this with a doctor. You go to meet a doctor. Let us say I want to meet a heart surgeon. Definitely, I want to meet Mr. Narayan Shetty. If I can't meet him, I feel out of place. Even if he gives me a comfort saying, no, your heart is all right in Narayan Hrudayalaya, and Dr. Narayan Shetty comes and says, no, sorry, Dr. Devi Shetty comes and tells me your heart is all right, I feel very comfortable. It's as simple as that. So it is professionalism with personal touch. Every single client, I want you to know who he is. I want you to know his business. I want you to know his factory. I want you to know its location. I want you to know what is in store or what is he going to do over the next 2 years. This means professionalism with personal touch. Trust me, you do this, your file will go nowhere. Your money will go nowhere. You will learn more. As Kunji said, you will earn more, and you will also have enormous regard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Manoj Kishan has said that has been wonderfully put and explained, sir. We have more questions coming in, but I think most of the questions will automatically be answered as we move to our second session. But to you, Padamchand sir and Venkatramani sir, if you could just give your final words on today's what you have said, and any final message for the CA fraternity for all of us, it will be really great.
I think this one, Padam sir will go first.
Sure.
when I was preparing for it, I had read a judgment of 1896. Justice Lindley in 1896. I was reading that when I was preparing for today's talk, and in that decision, he is saying that auditor's job is being rendered too onerous. His work is becoming too responsible. His work is becoming very laborious, and the remuneration is getting is very moderate. The expectation, therefore, is that when a company believes its own profession, people which employs, it has the team of people. Company management believes those employees concerned. Should a chartered accountant not believe those very same employees? Should there be an element of distrust when a chartered accountant begins to work? Or should it work with a basic element of care and basic element of belief? This is a position expressed in 1896, where to say that when a company is believing its own employees, it's no fault of a chartered accountant that he believes the very same employees. A chartered accountant is not an insurer. He's a person who's expected to take reasonable care about his work. He does not guarantee the occurrence that there will be no occurrence of fraud. He's not an insurer at all. When company believes some people and they have committed a fraud, there's no blame to say that a chartered accountant believes the very same employees concerned. Expectations, therefore, are in the society a little different. But I'm not saying that I will use this as an excuse for me to ignore or to dilute. This is a very important expectation from the society. It's a very important perspective of a chartered accountant's role from the society. And we need to therefore stand up and ensure that we meet this expectation of the society. And therefore, the society is demanding something from us. It's we as a body have to rise. It's important, therefore, we commit ourselves to the basic fundamental values and reinforce them and reinvigorate in all of us as individuals these wonderful values of a wonderful profession. That's why they said, we are as chartered accountant watchdogs of the economy itself. We are watchdogs of the economy. Therefore, we are in the situation where a lot of people are believing us that we shall execute our work with perfect dignity, perfect responsibility. And that's what we should, as individuals, strive to achieve.
Thank you, sir. Venkatramani, sir, some final words and thoughts.
Thank you, Padam sir. As I kind of give my final words, I will also answer that Pawan Agnihotri's question, which I'm seeing on the screen. For small scale practitioners, I will take both together as I put in my closing remarks. He will also get the answer for his issue. Yes, businesses have grown. From the time we started practice, I'm sure Padamji will acknowledge, from the time we practiced in the late 80s and the early 90s to now, the smallest of businesses have got a few crores of turnover. Two, the smallest of businesses which were handwritten book accounts have now moved digitally. The smallest of businesses that were then, where only one or perhaps two laws were applicable, you have at least 5 to 8 laws which are applicable today to those small entities or small firms. Having said that, to answer Pawan's question, how do we, as small practitioners, I think time has now come. Either we network, we merge, or we have the services of like-minded charity friends at short notice. If we are able to get at short notice, then the complex business issues can be resolved in a simple manner. Trust me, as the businesses grow, the complexity grows, the number of legal issues that come up grows, the number of laws that are required grows. No man can be a master of each law. And I think I know it well because I started with income tax and I moved on to indirect taxes because I knew if I have to occupy that chair for income tax, I have to meet somebody like Padamji whom I cannot. Therefore, it is better to move away and move to a different area of practice where you can carve a niche for yourself. Yes, as a one roof service provider, it is challenging. I would suggest that you network yourself, connect yourself with seniors, surround yourself with solid leadership, preferably looking for partners who are like-minded because it's a challenge to get in partners. Please be very careful when you choose your partners, right? Or in the end, you will have to outsource the services which you are not able to provide. Having said that, last 1 minute, I will close. To youngsters who are there, I repeat by saying time has now come. that we, as Padamji said, we rededicate ourselves to studies. Go back to basics. Go back to books. Go back to what we learned as students. Go back to what was taught by our seniors. Our seniors have laid the way. And to youngsters who are today, please carry forward the legacy. This legacy of the accountancy profession, this legacy of our ICAI, trust me, is unmatched. It is one of the finest professions we are in. Thank you. All the best. Happy CA Day to all of you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was an absolute pleasure to host both of you, have you here. And thank you very much for taking time from your busy schedules and address all of us, share your learnings. And I'm sure these insights will go a long way in deciding a career path for many of us. Thank you very much, sir. A very happy CA Day to both of you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Probably just leave us, we have another meeting session. Thanks.